What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the series-ish kind of thing, channel, whatever. My 2JZ swap Datsun running and possibly driving by Christmas. Today we are going to be working on, well, as you may have seen, we have no piping for our radiator. We have no radiator fan. So we're going to get the piping out of the way. I've made a list. It goes right next to the tools and right next to the fridge. So anytime I get a tool, I know the list. Anytime I need a beverage of sorts or an egg, list. Ready here. Boom. Today, radiator piping. So you're probably thinking to yourself, Grant, you have a 2JZ swap Datsun and a Datsun radiator. Kudos to those of you who've noticed. So as you probably implied, it has to be custom. What a surprise, yay. I looked at Supras, I looked at IS300s, anything that the 2J came in, I looked at to see if anything was somewhat similar, and surprisingly enough, the IS300 was. This was for the top hose, obviously as you can see here, that won't work. But the rear hose, this ridiculous thing, it actually looked pretty good. I did go ahead and buy some extender pipe. You can buy sink piping. I've seen plenty of other YouTubers do it on much more expensive builds, and it works just fine, so that's what I would suggest doing in the future. However, I've got this, it's here now. Let's see what we can mock up. So I worked on a second bin first, a lot more parts and pieces. The contraption I came up with, it's something. So for whatever reason, the water neck is significantly larger than everything else. Our Summit 90 degree fitted perfectly. So then I cut off a little bit of the Summit 90 degree and stuffed it in here with our extension tube. I'm sure that won't leak. This, and then I just cut off a piece of hose. This is complete, one piece, so that's pretty cool. And I don't have any hose clamps, so this is obviously just a mock-up. We're not going to put any fluid in it. And we kind of have this doohickey. And it fits pretty well, so check it out. But my little elbow goes on this water neck here. Shove this guy on there. Boom! There it is. Look, you can barely even see the little spacer in there. It's perfect. So, looking at what we have left available to us and what we have to do, it's a pretty tight bend, and not to mention this is higher than that. I'm gonna have to order some parts and hope that we can find something that'll make that work. In the meantime, though, we are missing something else from this. Radiator fan. So I've had the fan for a long time. I was going to build a fancy shroud and everything, but you know what? Forget that. We'll build the shroud later. We're trying to get this thing to run. I bought these amazing things off of Amazon. Ta freaking da. I'm now realizing that this came with 4 apiece, so I didn't need to order 4 of them. Sick. Fan, high performance. They work like zip ties, so I'm glad I have extras just in case. Also, other needed accessories. Spall fan clips. They don't come with the fan. And then I went ahead and got the harness, or it's a little jumper harness kind of thing. I know it's pretty convenient. Ground, power. That way I didn't have to like try to find this connector if I'm trying to pull the radiator off the fan. I just kind of boom, boom. Sure, it works great. And that way I don't even have to splice this wire. Oh, it's just an uncrimped thing. Oh, this is amazing. I got the low profile clips because, you know, everything about this car is low. And that should give us enough room. Perfect. Yep. So now that we have our fan in, we still need to wire it up. So luckily from our wiring fiasco, if you haven't seen that video, it's a disaster, but we did get the car cranking, so it's not that much of a disaster. Most of the things on this channel are a disaster. You just kind of get used to it. I do have a 40 amp relay, which is exactly what I needed, and it's a little remote mount. So we're gonna take this guy, mount it right here. right, so now that we have our relay, you got your 87 and 30. Those are going to be your big power numbers. And then you got your 85 and 86. You also have an 87A, but we're not going to talk about that one. That's more of a not. Like when the relay doesn't have power, then the whole deal. So your 85 and your 86, those are your drivers. That's when you use your low power to tell it to send high power to whatever it is that you're trying to power. Basically, you use something, usually it's something like small, like an ECU here, or if you're not doing this on a car, you can think of it like with a Raspberry Pi. Well, if you want to send, 120 volts at 15 amps to something, you don't want to send all that current. The Raspberry Pi can't even handle that kind of voltage through the Raspberry Pi and then to whatever it is that you're trying to power. You use a relay, and you use this is just the connection. It just kind of pops on here. Here are your little wires. Use a smaller signal wire one's connected to ground, one's connected to your signal wire. As soon as that signal is sending power to it, it'll close a switch and it will send power. You're getting power from your big power source here, and then you send that power out to whatever it is that you're trying to power, and then it goes from that to a ground source, and that's how it works. There's your relay. Now we're gonna wire this thing up. And the last wire we have is going to be our power wire. Basically, we have this one last piece that we know from earlier. Yeah, you're paying attention. We know from earlier is going to go to power. We're going to have it fused. That's what I'm hoping I bought this 12 gauge for, because I couldn't remember. So also, if you're looking for good prices, automotive wiring, Pro Wire. Not sponsored, by the way, obviously. Look at this. Look at the subscriber count on this channel. Okay, it's not sponsored yet. Possibly. Ha ha ha. Subscribe down below. Help a boy out. Pro Wire, awesome stuff. Because we're going from here to the fuse box, which my car is just on the other side of the firewall, so it's a whole 3.5 feet. Just like these others, I'm going to go ahead and do ones that are detachable. If we run into problems later, then I'll go ahead and replace it with a crimp or a full-on solder sleeve. These are pretty cool too. Got these on Amazon. Actually worth it. So they have 2 sealing plugs and then the solder in the middle that melts when you heat it up. You've seen me wire enough. Let's just put some YouTube magic on it. Boom, there you go. Now they just kind of plug in, boop, just like that. All right, so here it is. The wires are actually up and out of the way a lot more than I thought they'd be. Obviously, they're not going to stay like this. They're going to get cleaned up. We'll put some heat shrink around them to make them look pretty, and then we'll put some loom around them just like this, and that way they'll be hidden and away. Our blue wire is our signal wire that goes back to our Mega Squirt, and our red wire is actually going to our fuse box, which is under there that you can barely see. Anyway, that is going to do it for today, guys. Made quite a bit of progress. Got the fan on, got our relay wired up-ish. We'll be on to the next part of the list, which probably intercooler popping. If you made it this far into the video, make sure to comment your least favorite thing to do on a car. I know a lot of people's is wiring, so that's why I bring it up. Honestly, don't know what mine is. Probably when it doesn't run, just in general. Thank y'all so much. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.